That was footage of my rabbit running outside. Now to the video. Animated shows, and animated comedies in particular, might get my attention with their first season, but never has the first season of an animated comedy been my favourite from any series. That's because the seasons after the first season, the people behind the show understand the show better, and try to improve or just simply change things so that they are different to the first season. Season 2 of these shows is usually where the people behind these shows know where they want their show to go, or at least they have a more solid idea. So when Season 3 and 4 and so on of these shows air, they tend to leave poor old Season 1 in a state of standing out, usually for negative reasons for me when compared to the later seasons. You guys probably know the drill by now. Yada yada yada, I split the video up into sections so that I can explain my points better. Better does not mean well. There will always be shows that will avoid some of the points I make in this video, but in my opinion, no show that I've seen avoids all of these points unless they only had 1 or 2 seasons. Now let's jump into the reasons, like Mario jumps into a painting. The only time an animated show's strongest animation is in its first season is if it was cancelled after its first season, but even then that simultaneously makes it the worst too. Like every other point I'll be making in this video, the animation might seem okay at first, but when you watch multiple seasons of the newer stuff, it makes the more low-budget Season 1 stand out as less smooth and less creative. For shows like Family Guy and especially The Simpsons, going back to Season 1 and the pilot more so, will be really jarring, and will be weird to transition to after watching one of the latest episodes. Voice actors have to come up with, well, voices obviously, but most likely for characters they haven't seen move and might not have even seen a drawing of. Since this is likely the case, voice actors may decide to change a character's voice once they have seen them or seen them move, thinking their original voice for them didn't fit too well.
Excellent. Your first duty will be to step out on the balcony and tell that crowd this plant is safe.
A non-profit organization with oil? I won't allow it. An oil well doesn't belong in the hands of Betsy Bleeding Heart and Maynard G. Muskie Vote.
Another reason a character's voice may change is because the voice actor may not be able to do the character's voice in the exact same way anymore, due to their voice changing as they age or other reasons.
I'm still trying to figure out what's bothering Lisa. I don't know. Bart's such a handful and Maggie needs attention, but all the while our little Lisa's becoming a young woman. Your teenage son or daughter will think this wishbone necklace is really cool. Your friends consider you the leader because you're a little taller.
Wow. Wow. With above average height comes above average responsibility. Marge, thank you for setting me straight.
You're welcome.
There may also be a change in voice actor, which isn't really preventable if a voice actor wishes to leave or is forced to due to other reasons. Characters' voices changing even slightly is usually the main thing that makes me struggle watching first seasons of shows again. Homer from The Simpsons is hard for me to listen to in Season 1, after listening to seasons upon seasons upon seasons of a higher-pitched, more cheerful-sounding Homer.
That's it? That's the college fund we've been saving for all these years?
Yellow. Hey, Barney. A free movie screening? Of course I can go. I just need somebody to hold down the fort.
Pam from Archer is another character whose voice changed dramatically between Season 8 and her introduction in Season 1. A more minor voice change that really bothers me more than it has any right to is Rick in Rick and Morty, though it was mostly the pilot that really bothers me. Like I just said, voices may change to fit a character's personality, and yeah, characters' personalities change slightly over seasons. I tend to get used to what characters' personalities become, rather than how they start, like for long-running shows like Family Guy where the characters' personalities change dramatically over time. Characters' personalities changing over time allows for different types of stories to be told. This change can make earlier episodes in the show's life not feel right, as the plots might not fit the characters from the later seasons, or if you look at it in the other way, the plots from the later seasons might not fit the characters from the earlier seasons. The writing itself may be solid in Season 1, but it might have a different feel than it does a few seasons down the line. I'm sorry that I keep using this as an example, but The Simpsons is a great example of this. Season 1 of The Simpsons is good, but it isn't as cartoony and over the top as it becomes Season 3 and onwards, Season 1 arguably being even more calm and normal than Season 2. Now this goes into my next point. Tone connects with stories, and Everything. Ignore me. Hell, why are you even watching this? I'd think of another example, but why bother at this point? The Simpsons Season 1 feels like a mixed bag of realistic and cartoony. The Simpsons Season 2 feels like a realistic, depressing cartoon, and Season 3 and after get more and more cartoony. Obviously, the tone affects the humour, and you already know where this video is going at this point. Like everything else, the humour changes over time. Even if Season 1 is the funniest season, which I do think can happen, and Season 1 can be the best at all of these points in this video individually, or all together, I suppose. Even animation, though I've never seen it happen. The humour usually feels different seasons down the road anyway, because the writers know what kind of humour they are best at, or at least think they are best at, after practice, and seeing the voice actors play their characters in certain ways. Since all of these points connect, I figured I'd throw them all into a pot with each other to wrestle. Something like that. Food doesn't usually wrestle. What I actually mean is that every point connects to the other points in some way. So this is my summary of my points. When tone changes, humour will. When characters change, the tone will. When blank changes, the other thing is just simply will. It ultimately just comes down to, as each of the points that I made in this video change even slightly in the show, it will alter the other points that I made in this video in the show. If that makes any sense. It isn't as simple as, oh, this part changed, that's why I like Season 1 the least. These points caused each other to change and evolve over time, or depending on the show and what you think of it, possibly devolve over time. And all of these things causing each other to change make Season 1 and the pilots especially, and sometimes Season 2, stand out as either weak, or a little awkward, or just a little out of place. It's rare for shows to get almost everything to be accurate to how it will be seasons down the line, because creators, animators, writers, directors, and everyone else, it doesn't matter how good they are only just learning the characters, the settings, and the style of humour and everything else that the show will become known for. It just comes down to having experience. Not just having experience on an animated comedy, but having experience in each individual animated comedy. As the people behind these shows spend more and more time on them, they typically improve. Granted, it does have to reach a point of diminishing return in terms of time and quality.
What do you think of most Season 1s of animated comedies? Me know in comments next. Bye, kiss.